Quantifying and Normalizing Requirements. In software engineering, a requirement is the expression of a need. In a software product, that need might be the features, functions, or improvements that are being requested. Requirements can be related to many different areas. For instance, you might have functional requirements that describe some functionality that the system needs to execute. You might have non-functional requirements that act to constrain the solution, or you might have other types of requirements that talk about how a problem must be solved. In any case, the software must adhere to these requirements. Requirements can come from multiple sources, ranging from customers to internal team members. Requirements are typically contained in Word docs, PDFs, spreadsheets, or other document types. Any of these can be handled as attachments in dev spec, or, in the case of a Word doc, two-way synchronized with the system. Requirements can also be duplicated if they describe similar functionality but are from different sources. For example, two customers may want the same feature added but have expressed that desire differently. In order to actually implement a requirement within DevSpec, it must first be broken down into specifications. A specification then is simply a summary of all or part of one or more requirements. The purpose of the specification is to provide a simple, development-friendly overview of the work that needs to be done to fulfill a requirement. A good specification will also often contain the criteria that will be used to evaluate the work done to see if it fulfills the requirements. Since we want our specifications to be development-friendly, it is usually best to have them represent 1 to 5 days of work. If a specification represents less than a day's work, it runs the risk of trying to cover details that should be worked out in development tasks. Any more than 5 days, and the specification is most likely too broad. Specifications should also be value-driven. A common format for this is something like a user story. So, as a user of type X, I need feature Y so that I can accomplish Z. Once our requirements and specifications are established, they can be used to drive product design and development. Specifications represent the design that will fulfill the requirements. Many specifications will be derived from requirements, though this is not mandatory. Specifications can be broken down in a variety of ways, from functional specifications to top-down use cases or scenarios. Oftentimes, the scheme you use will be reflected in the architecture of your product. So now that we've obtained a clear understanding of requirements and specifications, let's see how they might be used in DevSuite. Here we can see our requirements and specifications and their relationships. These buttons at the top here allow us to filter the relationships as needed. In this example, we see a requirement with child specifications. We also see standalone specifications. It's important to note that although there's no limit to the number of child levels, only one nested level will show in the list view. We can also see here requirements and specifications that are linked via two-way word integration, as well as items with attachments.